Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures. It's Friday once again, which means we bring to you some new obscurities in literature. And today I feel like we've got one that's pretty darn obscure, unfortunately. And that is the Sabertooth Swordsman and the mayhem of the malevolent Mastodon Mathmetician, which you can see floating around back there in the cover piece here. This is by Damon, Gentry, and Aaron Conley, who I know have done some stuff. I want to say Conley at least did some stuff in Creepy. I think it was Creepy. Whichever were the Warren books they had Dark Horse republish. So anyway, really dug this book. I don't even remember how I came across it. Probably when I was looking for stuff similar to James Sticko's work after finishing Orcstain and looking for something similar. I think I came across this. But I gotta dig the end papers here. It's actually the Swordsman's head. It's like one of those magic eye puzzles. It took me a moment, then everything kind of clicked, but yeah. Also gives me very shades of Brandon and Graham artwork. If you're familiar with things like Multiple Warheads or King City and what little he drew of Prophet. Get our faux Arabic looking writing there. One of the integral characters. And for whatever reason, I keep thinking that this was either done digitally, like a serialization on Dark Horse's website or through Dark Horse Presents or something like that. But there's really nothing in here in the bibliographical information about that. And I don't know why I know that, but I feel like that's the case. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys are aware of it, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened here. So you're greeted to this beautiful mug when you open the book up. And honestly, the first little section here really reminds me of Moebius Arzarch in that everything is predominantly silent. Sasquatch Mountain, where our intrepid loser of a hero is going to end up. But especially when you have these panel setups like this just screams Arzarch to me. One of these days I'll have to pop out my old Arzarch books. I do have the old Epic and Dark Horse reprints. But yeah, we have the Cloud God, if that's what they want to call him, who lives on Sasquatch Mountain. And decides our hero needs to have an appropriate transformation. Would have been better if it said Shotch, but that's okay. Yeah. Gotta appreciate the Boston Terrier there. So eventually our Cloud God settles on the form of the Sabertooth Tiger Swordsman, and then he goes into a very He-Man-like, fabulous powers have been given to me, but then we get into the whole battle. And like I said, it feels very reminiscent of those early Moebius stories with a very intentional lack of dialogue. You have a lot of sound effects drawn in there. Grab. You also have a lot of violence. And even the ending is kind of... You have this very often appearing through the story as the Sabertooth Swordsman receives very various items and abilities as the story progresses. And what kind of fantasy story would you have if you didn't have a layout with all his cool stuff, right? I always loved things like that when I was a kid. I'm not even sure what that's supposed to say. Platoon? I'm not even sure. But again, just the ridiculous detail in the artwork does at times remind me of artists like James Sticko, in that there's just almost an overabundance of detail. And that gets to be an issue as the story goes. I'm not going to get into it too much. But in some of the action scenes, it can become hard to discern who's who and what's what and what exactly is going on. But you can't argue the quality of the illustrations. It's very, very nice line work. I can appreciate that. I can't draw like that, certainly, but again, I really dig these wordless pages. Very manga-esque. Here's where things start to get hard to see who's doing what and what's happening to who. And I don't know if that's just an issue from the level of detail, if it'd be any different if we had things in color. I am kind of curious to see the color edition, but again, just the decorative scenery and the elements of, everything's all ruined and rubbled, and of course there's tons of monsters. Actually, this sequence here with these goat things reminds me of something from Kingdom Death, as he has to start ascending this tower, and yeah, it's out there. It's kind of interesting. So there is a story to it. It's not the deepest story. It's a lot of fun, very sarcastic, very silly in its tone, despite all of the crazy violence. There's my spanking hands. There's a lot of references to stink and stinkiness throughout this book, especially when we come upon the Cyclops wrestler pair. Everything's about stink. It's a whisker tickler. Oh, there was some line in here. There we go. Heroic destiny is the worst smell of all. The cat deceived us with honesty. And here we have the actual Mastodon mathematician as he explains things that are happening. And no, I'm not really giving anything away with his explanation because it's just absolute gibberish. But things start to happen, and then we end up with giant monsters, because why not, right? You're gonna have a crazy wild story, you might as well, go all out. And like I said, it does become a bit difficult at times to figure out what's going on, and we're not going to show you the end. But there are a couple of pinups in the back here. I dig this one. This one I'm going to have to go double check who the artist is. I like it. Alred Art. Somewhere I've got some old Madman Adventures, like when it was with Tundra, I think, that he had signed a long time ago. It's totally branding. Yeah, I was going to say that. Looks like pure old Brandon Graham artwork there. And it is. The weirdness ensues. So yeah, if you're looking for something a bit off kilter and out of the ordinary, you're more than welcome to try to track down the first printing of this. This is the one I've got, but if you're definitely into it, and it seems like something up your alley, if you like nonsensical craziness with giant monsters, bad punnage, lots of alliteration, references to stink and stankiness throughout the book, and giant monsters, I mean, I'd say go for it. Go find the second edition, as it's supposed to have an expanded set of color stories in there and a few other goodies, from my understanding. I have not seen it yet, but I will put a link down below to Amazon, which I believe links to the newer second print of this. And it's just one of those books that really didn't seem to get a whole lot of attention or love. But you know me, I love funky fantasy books, so what can I say? Kudos to you fine gentlemen for letting this grace my bookshelf for the last few years. This is one of those books, I'll just pull off the shelf every now and then. It's fun to flip through. It's just fun to enjoy looking at the detail of the panels. There's just a lot going on, and it definitely needs more eyes on it. So, congrats, Mr. Gentry and Conley. With that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.